Ladies and gentlemen, my producer said action, and of course, that's why I'm here. You're welcome to yet another amazing episode, another great episode, another wonderful episode, another stupendous episode of your and my one-stop podcast. This right here is Afro podcast, where we are uncovering stories to impact your lives. Just last week, ladies and gentlemen, the Bank of Canada reduced the interest rate. However, citizens, immigrants, and some other persons who are here on this land still find it very hard to get a house. House is on the increase. Housing is on the rise. Ladies and gentlemen, it has turned to a pandemic, and of course, we need to attack it with utmost precision. On this edition, ladies and gentlemen, we've brought somebody who is a real estate virtuoso to first dissect the situation, and secondly, listen, I want to be a landlord, and also to let us know how we can be landlords and the things to look out for. We are privileged to have here in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alaba Adegoke. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Martins. I'm very pleased to be here with you guys today. So I think I will be able to do fair justice to the conversation we're going to be having this evening. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. And before we start up the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're seeing some other face. Yes, of course. He is my partner. And together we're going to have so much fun today. His name is Bamidele Legally.
Yes, hello. This is Bami, and I'm very happy to be here. You know, you'll be seeing me more often now with my fellow, the mic master, and yeah, we're going to be doing a lot here together. So yeah, let's get it on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into the business. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
We had to bring you into the studio because everybody's complaining in Canada. Housing is on the increase. First, let us start with you first. Why did you feel the need, with a little introduction, why did you feel the need to go into, amongst other businesses you could have done, why did you feel the need to go into real estate?
Okay, with a little introduction, that seems to be some setup question for me, but I will try to keep it as short as possible. Before my arrival in Canada about 6 years ago, I've always been this person who is always interested in real estate. Whenever I was driving in VI, Ikoyi back then, and I see high-rise buildings, it's one of the things that fascinates me. How are these majestic stuff? How are they planted here? Who thought about constructing things like this? So real estate is fascinating to me, right? But I never had the courage, as we say in Nigeria, the liver, right? to go and play in that space because the market wasn't regulated. You don't even know whether there are any government controls or maybe licensing or whatever. I mean, who are you going to be playing with in the market? It wasn't so clear. So when I arrived in Canada, I saw that the landscape is completely different. It is well regulated. The people you're going to be working with are thoroughbred professionals to a large extent. There are people now sneaking through the doors these days. So you've got to be careful. But to a very large extent, the market is well regulated in Canada. The rules are clear. What it takes for you to practice as a real estate agent or broker or salesperson. I mean, choose the language you want to use. It's pretty much clear. So that was the incentive that got me into real estate in Canada.
And getting into real estate here in Canada, apart from the fact that you see that the market is somewhat regulated, what are some of the differences and similarities, if any, between real estate back in Nigeria and real estate here in Canada? Apart from the regulatory body that governs it, what are the differences?
Let's talk about the similarities first.
Oh, are there similarities?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's have it.
Of course. I mean, look, real estate is real estate. It's about, if you listen to some of the institutional investors, you will hear them say to you, if you make the right decisions about investing in real estate, it's pretty much about the singular investment decision. If you go in, right, with the right knowledge, that you're not going to lose on, right? You probably will hear people talk about investing in stocks and shares, right? Private equity, what have you. All those other investment options, they carry a lot more uncertainty because you can hold on to them.
Yeah,
Real
exactly.
estate, if you buy a house somewhere, unless there is fire, unless there is a massive flood or tsunami, or unless there's an earthquake, right? The house is going to be there, not just only for one generation, multiple generations. Yeah.
Oh, so what?
That's me talking about the similarity,
yeah.
right? The differences, they're pretty clear. Let's start from the style of housing, right? The quality of the housing,
The quality.
right? The regulation, the government regulation that goes into, look, what are the building standards? What are the acceptable standards? What are the acceptable practices? These are the factors that sets that separates real estate back home to what we have here in Canada. And specifically, if you're wondering what province we're speaking from, specifically, we're speaking from Ontario. So to a very large extent, I know that the regulations in Ontario are robust, they're very comprehensive. There's daylight between what we do here and what applies back home. We can only hope that look, with time, the standard back home is going to catch up with what we have here in Ontario.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Bami, you wanna chime in?
Yeah, sometimes I have a friend that speaks about, this. I want to talk about rent now. So like people talk about rent in Nigeria compared to here in the diaspora, and they say, okay, in Nigeria we pay rent just 1 year, and here it's monthly. You understand? So people tend to prefer investing here than in Nigeria. So when we talk about investment, like if I want to invest now, where do you advise me to invest based on me getting my return quickly? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bami, great question.
Thank you.
There is this saying that says garbage in, garbage out, right?
Okay.
That's for lack of a better expression. In Nigeria, people say we pay rent once every year. In Canada, we pay every month. I'll say to you, housing here too, maybe, I'm just going to make up this number. Maybe it costs 15, 20, 25, 40 times what it costs in Nigeria. So the expectation in terms of the return on investment back here definitely is going to be different from what you have in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Another factor that we need to consider also is the cost to build, right? And then how do people in this part of the world finance their properties? I've been in real estate for a couple of years. The number of times I've seen people buy homes or houses or whatever, townhomes, condo, out of pocket, I think I can count it on my fingers. And how many fingers have I got? Just only 5, right? But back home in Nigeria, how do people build homes? They pay the cash outright. So they pay the cash outright. And why people need to collect rent in this part of the world, right, on a monthly basis is because it follows a credit system, which is within the larger scheme of things, you see that the economy here runs on credit.
Yeah.
Typically, homeowners here, they make contributions, which is called down payment or equity payment. They make 5, 10, 15, 20%. And at the end of every month, they also need to make payments back to the lender, to the banks, to the whatever institution they got their credit from. So that's why that's one underlying difference in terms of how you finance and how do you need to be able to make your obligations back to whosoever that put money into the property that you're sitting on.
So we're gonna go deep into the issues that are affecting everybody right now, which is housing being on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been happening right now for a long time. I was speaking with a good friend of mine the other day, and he told me he couldn't keep up with his mortgage. He had to let it go. It was sad, apparently, but there was nothing he could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
First, as a real estate virtuoso, what are some of the reasons you feel or the things you feel are militating against the rising of housing in Ontario, to be precise, since we are in this province?
Yeah, Martin's demand and supply. I think that's even fundamental for every market sector. If you want to imagine demand and supply, I think in Ontario, the statistics they may not be precise, but pretty much they're close to what the actual numbers are. Home prices, specifically, I'm going to be talking about purchasing now.
Okay.
Prices have gone up between 2010 and 2024, right, by more than 80%.
Wow.
We can pretty much in street parlance we can say pricing has almost doubled.
Wow.
And those are in the markets that the majority of the people are not playing in. So if you want to go into the market that the majority of the buyers, say for example, starter homes, right? First-time home buyers, the smaller homes, the condos, the townhouses, it has more than doubled, in over a decade.
Wow.
What are the factors that are driving these increases, right? I said it much earlier, demand and supply, and where is the demand coming from? If you look at Canada's immigration policy over the last decade, you see that a lot of people have been coming into Canada, and that's why many of us are here. I'm also an immigrant.
Yeah, sure,
right?
sure.
Within 12 months of arriving in Canada, I was looking around. Okay, I've got to be able to buy a property for myself, right? And likewise, so many other people,
True.
right? That came over here. So demand is there. And for those of us that are coming from all over the world, look, Africa, some other places in the Middle East, Asia, a lot of people from China and Hong Kong, people bring in a lot of money in from outside of Canada, right? Meaning they arrive in Canada today within 6 months, within 9 months. Some people, even in the same month they arrived in the country, they're thinking about buying. And, new homes, a building of new homes is not catching onto the demand, and that is what has set price galloping away from local residents.
Yeah, I just want to ask a quick question on what you said so far. Like for a new immigrant coming into Canada, do you advise I rent or I buy a property immediately?
It depends. If you're coming into the country as a money bag, you've got the money to be able to buy one. Yeah, just go straight to the bank and then pay out of pocket like we do back home. But more often than not, let's be realistic. I think that's that will apply to 1 in a million, right?
Yeah.
Typically, when you're coming into the country as a fresher, you don't even know what kind of community you want to live in.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of facilities, infrastructure that you need for your family. You don't know where your work is going to be, right? You don't know so many other variables that play into it. So my default advice for a newcomer is first come in, get a rental. It doesn't mean you have to live in that rental for a year, for 2 years. As soon as you figure out all the other variables that connect to your situation here, right? Then you're ready to buy, for as long as you have the money and you are able to get the financing that is necessary for you to make your purchase.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still learning so much. I'm just looking because we brought him here because of this particular reason, and I'm learning a whole lot. I was thinking, for someone who wants to be a first-time home buyer, condos, houses, townhouses. Some people buy a house with the intention subconsciously to resell at some point.
Yeah.
Others buy a house to live there and pay it off within 30 years, whatever it is. But first-time home buyers, which would you ask them to tilt towards? A condo, a townhouse, or just walk us through the process.
Or a penthouse.
Walk us through the process. And why would you advise it?
Okay, so just so that I'm sure, I got your question right. You're asking what type of housing would I recommend?
Yes.
Or,
yes.
Okay. Yet again, there is no one size fits all in the under the circumstance. I've seen a lot of young people come into this country, bachelors, finstars, right? That is what we call ladies who have been married, right? Can somebody help me with that word? Spinsters, right?
Yeah.
So if you're coming in, all by yourself, no family with you, I probably would not say you should go live in a 3-bed townhouse downtown Toronto that will cost you $6,000 a month, right? You're better off in a condo on the 21st floor down there, right? Paying maybe $2,500 a month. You're better off in that situation. But if you're coming in like someone like me, I came in with a family, right? My wife, 2 kids. At least we need to be, if we cannot live better than we were living back home, at least we need to be able to match the standard of living we came here with. So the scenario will differ depending on your circumstance, right? What's the size of what's the size of your family? I guess that's the bottom line. Then also budget also matters.
Of course.
It's pretty much about the most important thing you have to think about. Without money, you can't do a lot, and you cannot go far in the real estate market here.
True. Let me pressure you further, right, on that point. Let me flip the coin a little bit. Which is faster to sell? Which is faster to sell as when you buy a property? Which is faster to sell, a condo, a townhouse, or a house? Which is, we know they sell everything, but if you really want to sell it fast through your experience, which is faster to sell?
Oh my God, these are very difficult questions, Martins, because look, as a real estate practitioner,
that's what I'm saying.
There's no straightforward answer.
I know, but people will come to you for advices which is okay, this can go very fast.
Yeah, I'm going to try and answer your question.
Please,
to the best of my ability, and to the extent that so many listeners are going to agree with what I'm saying. Typically, for people of our background.
Okay.
Right? I know condominiums are not popular amongst us, right?
True.
And it's got a social factor that is connected to it.
Okay.
We simply don't just like it as a people, right?
Okay.
It does not mean it doesn't sell fast.
Okay.
It does sell fast, crazily fast, right? In some market conditions, right? 3 years ago in Toronto, condos were selling before they even get listed on the MLS.
Wow.
Right? So I can say from a social standpoint, people will say, okay, condos are not the greatest because you don't have, the absolute liberty that you would have with a freehold townhouse, which means you are the author and finisher of the fate of the house, right?
True.
You maintain the house when you feel like, how you feel like, and when you feel like, right? In a condominium, the rules are a little bit more stringent. You have the condo cop, you have the essentially the governance corporation, in the sense that they're going to tell you these are the rules, right? That everyone who has bought a unit in this condo, these are the rules we've all agreed to live by, and you cannot be an exception.
True.
So because of that reason, people believe that condos are a little bit restrictive, and because of that, they believe that it's going to be hard to sell. Right?
Okay.
But indeed, it's not difficult. It's not difficult to sell. However, just to be able to make you go away with a concrete answer, right? I will say to you that freehold townhomes, they sell a little bit faster and with less consideration and less thinking, right?
Okay.
Compared to condominium. So that I just don't confuse all of us here. It depends on the market. There will be time that the condos are going to be moving like crazy. There will be times that, the condo market is going to be a little bit saturated because you have a lot of inventory and people will have the perception that, condos are not selling. Like nothing, nothing is cast in stone. The market is so dynamic. And that's why people like me, agents, broker, that is where we come in. That is where we need to assess the market at the very point in time that a buyer or a seller is coming into the market and give them the relevant advice at that moment.
Amazing, Bami.
Yeah, taking you back to investments. So, an average African man who thinks he wants to invest in property here in Canada, but wants to reside back in Africa. So, what kind of housing structure can you suggest for that kind of person? Because I hear people say it's better for you to have a condo where there are, minimal taxes and, those kind of returns. And there's difference, what you pay back when you get an apartment or a house. So as an average man who wants to reside in Africa but wants to invest in property here in Canada, what do you advise?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. They just should go into a condominium. Because typically all you have to do when you buy into a condominium is for you to pay what is called the maintenance fees, right? And that is set by the condominium corporation. So when it comes to, like, let's say maybe landscaping, maintaining your lawn, clearing the snow, there are cracks on the wall, there are shared facilities within the condominium that needs to be maintained. They're not going to come to you. The corporation takes care of that. The only other important thing to note is, while the maintenance fee is set at a particular value or at a particular amount on a monthly basis, when there is a need for you to when there's a need, right? Usually it's evaluated based on the technical need for a particular significant maintenance activity to be carried out on a property. You could receive one-time big fee to be paid, right? They call it special assessment. To say, let me give you an example. There are some condos that maybe on the 40th floor you have swimming pool there, right? If the swimming pool is seeping down into someone's unit or going through the foundation, they probably can say, okay, we need about $100,000, $200,000 to deal with this repair, right? And in that case, every owner in the unit is going to receive what is called a special assessment. That is the only risk that comes with owning a condominium. But at the same time, this is not commonplace. It's not something that happens every day. These are very exceptional cases. If I'm going to be 100% transparent,
And it could just be a kind of one-off payment. Maybe something that doesn't happen regularly. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
For first-time home buyers, what are some of the things to look out for? Now, this is a 3-part question, right?
Okay.
For first-time home buyers, what are the things to look out for? 1. 2, how can they be first-time home buyers? 2. 3, how can they sustain their mortgage?
Yeah, so I think it's straightforward enough, right? In the sense that you are a first-time home buyer. It means you are a first-time home buyer in this market. The number one thing you need to pay attention to is make sure you have the relevant information. And how do you get the relevant information? Talk to the professionals, right? And who are the professionals in in this realm, we're talking about a financial advisor, right?
Okay.
First, before you decide to buy a home, it's not that, oh, I've got $200,000 today, I'm going to make a 20% down payment on the on the purchase I want to make, and then let's move on from there.
I'm a landlord. Yeah.
30 days after buying that house, your mortgage payment kicks in, right?
30 days.
30 days, yeah, essentially a month. I mean, after the first month of paying the $200,000, your first mortgage is due, right? And it's not just only the mortgage. People focus a lot on the mortgage, right? There are some other cost elements that you need to pay attention to. You've got to be able to pay your property taxes, right? And that accrues on a monthly basis as well. You may not pay it on a monthly basis, but at least the cost is accruing on a monthly basis. You've got to think about the utilities, hydro, water, hot water, natural gas supply.
Yeah.
If you are the type who is not handy, you've got to find someone who is going to have to come around and do your lawn, right?
The waste management and all that.
Yeah. So there's a plethora of costs that comes along with owning a house. So understanding your financial situation, right? By talking to a financial advisor, right? What is your level of income?
Yeah.
How much do you want to pay down on, as equity on the house that you want to buy? And what would carrying that house month to month, what would it cost you? It's absolutely important. It's a no-brainer. That's where you need to start. Because if I want to go out now and say, look, I'm going to that restaurant, the first question I ask myself is, can I afford to have a meal there now, right? And if I answer the question, okay, I can afford to have the meal there right now, the follow-up question is, does it hurt my breakfast tomorrow morning? Those are the sort of questions you need to ask yourself, even if you're making your own purchase, right? Yeah. The fact that you can make the equity contribution right now does not guarantee that you are able to carry that house on a long-term basis. So that essentially answers the first part of the question, right? Talk to a financial advisor. Know what you can afford before you make that purchase decision. The next thing you need to also do is talk to a real estate professional. Okay. That's why you have, the experts, the salesperson, the brokers. Talk to them. What is your situation? What type of property, right? Matches your need the most in the current market situation, right? What are the neighborhoods where you should consider to buy? Because there are some places that you just say, oh, homes are cheaper. They say homes are cheaper than you there. Okay, let's just go there and buy. And after you buy, you find out that even if your home is not losing value, right? It's really not gaining any
appreciating
really not gaining any value because the neighborhood could just be one of those neighborhoods that is not desirable to anyone for so many reasons. We can start counting reasons for which neighborhoods are not desirable, right? So that's that. I think that answers the second part of the question. The top part of the question I've forgotten now.
Is how can they sustain mortgage?
How they can sustain mortgage is the number one priority also is understanding what type of mortgage contract you're signing. Right?
Yeah, please, that one.
When the interest rate is low enough, and look at me here, I need to actually go in with a disclosure that I am not a mortgage broker.
True.
But I'm just going to speak generically on the experience that I've gathered over the last couple of years that I've been working in real estate. Is when the interest rate is low enough, it makes sense for you to lock in your your borrowing.
Oh, okay.
Right? By going for a fixed rate mortgage.
Oh.
What that does for you is it guarantees over time. It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years in Canada. Okay. In places like America, they even have it better because you can have a fixed term, a fixed rate mortgage that lasts 25 or 30 years. But let's focus on Ontario now. I guess the maximum that is sold over the counter at the financial institutions is 5-year mortgages. So if interest rate is low enough, yeah, please just lock it in. That way, you know that what you're paying over the next 5 years, right, is constant, right, and predictable. I'll take you back to the point about talking to a financial advisor, because this also plays in.
True.
Yeah.
If interest rate were to be a little bit higher, and you still have the need to make that home purchase, right? You will see some of them say, look, the interest rate forecast suggests interest rate will continue to come down, right, over the next 12 to 24 months. In that case, it makes sense for you to go for a variable rate mortgage, right? Because the economist, or maybe even the Bank of Canada, is forecasting that, we're going to progressively reduce the interest rate, right? So it depends on the market situation when you're coming in, right? Answer questions about your own personal finances. Look, have you got a job that guarantees your income over a specified period of time? Have you got the down payment that you think is sizable after paying? will help you lower your monthly installment? And then are you equipped with the right level of information to know what type of mortgage contract should I sign, fixed or variable? Those are the critical elements that I can remember for now. I'm sure when we go off camera, I could have visions about some other ideas.
This is great.
So a quick one about that. Do you have a kind of association or a body that educates people on this aspect? And if yes, how accessible is this body?
Yes, of course. There are community groups, right, that teach people about financial education, essentially, right? That educate people to say, look, and it's not just only about home buying, even budgeting for the home front, right? You've got to be able to put food on your table, right? Put clothes on your back, put clothes on the back of your kids, and get their belly full before you start thinking about home. So there are community groups, churches, organizations that are focused on financial education everywhere within the community. You can actually just go on Google and say, look, financial education center near me. You're going to see a lot of them pop up. And believe me, many of us may not have the culture of asking questions or sharing life challenges, or consulting with respect to decisions we want to make about life, before we came in here. I cannot overemphasize it. It's absolutely important for you to find people to talk to, just so that they point you in the right direction before you make such decisions. Yeah.
Proud to what my producer said action, and we started this conversation. I was asking you a question. I said, how would you, in your industry, people say it's saturated. I hear it a lot, it's a saturated industry. Everybody, even back home, like everybody right now is, because they know top of mind. I don't know, maybe it's the way you guys sell it, or it's the way, people push the narrative that is the only lifetime investment you can ever have in your life. That's the narrative I hear, which everybody knows is not correct, by the way. But now that the market is very saturated, how are you able to decipher the real people, the real estate agents versus the ones who are not experienced at all, and yet they just want to dwindle you and run away?
So I guess I'll talk personally, and I guess this applies to so many other people as well.
Let's have it.
If I want to make a decision, a purchase decision, and I need someone that's going to handhold me, which essentially is the job of the estate agent, to say, right? I need somebody who knows about this space. I want the person to guide me just so that I make the best decision. I will not talk to just only one person, right? I'm going to look for 1, 2, 3 people to interview, right? And listen to the one who has given me, it's not even listen to, I shouldn't say that. Listen to the three of them talk, right? And then assess which one has given me the most qualitative responses to my question, right? And you also know there are popular real estate firms within the neighborhood. I work for Remax. It's only unfortunate that I didn't come with my Remax laptop, right? More often than not, I'm always donning it wherever I go. I work for Remax. You have Remax brokerages all over the place. If you don't even know where to start, or you don't want to go do Google, right? Walk into one of those and let them know I need someone to advise me. The firms are going to point you to people you are absolutely certain are trained professional, they are licensed, they are in good standing with Ontario Real Estate Association, to help with whatever questions you may have. That's it on. I mean, that's me trying to address your question using one perspective. There's another angle to that question. We were talking about it before we went live. Right? What is that? Can you remind me what that?
You were asking when I told you about people who are not real. You were like, I don't know. You mentioned, is it a broker or an agent? Is it an agent or somebody else? You mentioned another person, and I'm like, what is the difference between? I think it's an agent or a seller, or an agent or a broker. Yes, exactly.
Yes, I remember.
A seller,
now.
Agent and a seller,
and then you said something about some people don't even know the difference.
Exactly,
between
an agent
and
a seller.
And a
Yes,
seller.
true.
Yes, I guess in the last 12 to 18 months, you probably will notice that, real estate sales has slowed down, compared to the period prior. Why is that? Interest rates has gone up significantly, right? There was a time that we were on a trajectory that Bank of Canada increased interest rate 10 times in a row, right? And I guess the situation of things that is getting better now that we're seeing a downward trend, on the rates. But just so that we don't go too far away from your question, the seller is the owner of the property that they want to sell, right? The agent, so the agent is an agent can represent either a seller or a buyer.
Like a middleman?
Right. Essentially, we can say a middleman, but they're not just a middleman. They are giving the best advice to the seller, just so that they can realize the maximum amount of money on the house they're trying to sell. Right? An agent that is also representing the buyer is also advising the buyer so that they can get the best value for their money. So profit oriented, like profit centered. Absolutely. You want the best for yourself. If you want to buy something, you're looking for the maximum value, right? At the least amount of cash. That's you, the buyer. I'm the seller. I'm looking for the maximum amount of dollars, right? On what I've got to sell. And that's why typically you're going to see market participants, buyers and sellers, have agents who have been playing, in this space for several years to represent them. Because sometimes they don't know how to negotiate, or more often than not, sellers and buyers don't know how to negotiate. Agents do, right? So all of this counts. At the end of the day, you want maximum value for yourself. There are people who self-represent and say, "Look, I know it all. Let me represent myself as a seller." We call it feasible for sale by owner, right? They don't want to use an agent
because they don't want to pay.
But at the end of the day, they lose more money. They end up losing more money than getting in that agent that represents you, because the agent has got an in-depth knowledge of the market, the insight, the data, right? The complexities that are involved in real estate dealing that you don't have, because you just want to do a one-off. The agent sells 10s and 20s and 40, hundreds of houses in a year.
Well, we've had situation of dubious agents too, that doesn't, give the real value of the assets.
Yeah, so I will say, look, in every situation and in every human society, there are always bad
Yeah,
eggs,
yeah,
right?
of course.
You're gonna have those exceptional situation whereby you see some people who are just going to gravitate towards doing the wrong thing, right?
Yeah,
And I mentioned it much earlier to say, look, one of the factors that incentivized me to being an estate agent, right, in Canada is the regulation. Believe me, there could be situation, there could be bad eggs, there could be news stories about one or two agents, that are caught up in
yeah,
malpractices. But I can assure you, the association actively weed out these individuals just so that we keep the integrity of of our practice and the market, because you don't want market participants to lose trust
of
in the
course.
process.
Yeah,
Once they lose trust, there's nothing for anyone to benefit anymore from the market. So I can assure you, those situations exist. The association is actively weeding those people out. Another, I mentioned it much earlier. If you are just unsure, right,
yeah. I
walk
was about
into
asking.
walk into a real estate
Yeah,
brokerage, right? Meet people there in person, have real conversations with
conversation.
people
Yeah,
face to face. That way you can get it wrong.
The so a lot of people watching right now, I know some of them want to go into real estate, either by way of passion or by way of making a living from it because it is somewhat lucrative. Now, is there a niche to being an agent? I will demystify. Give me a second. Going by your analysis as to a seller and an agent, some persons represent the seller, some persons represent the buyer. Now, are there real estate agents who specialize in representing only the sellers? Are there agents who specialize in representing only the buyers? Or as an agent, you can do both?
Typically, your license allows you to do both,
Okay.
and it's not even just limited to the buy and the selling side of the transaction.
Okay.
The market also has so many categories, right?
Okay.
You could be practicing in residential, you could be practicing in commercial,
Okay.
you could be practicing in investments.
yeah,
Agents were also
yeah,
licensed to transact in selling things like restaurants, barbing salons,
Oh.
all sort of business.
Wow.
We're also less licensed to play there. And then also you can actually specialize in selling, agricultural lands
Wow.
industrial land. So people can specialize or focus on all those small niches. And then coming back to answering your questions, are there agents who specialize in representing sellers alone? Yes, there are.
Okay.
Are there people who specialize in representing
Buyers.
buyers
Yeah.
alone? I believe there will be, but I haven't seen one
Okay. Okay.
myself.
Okay.
And then, in summary, just to answer, you have the opportunity to carve out a niche for yourself. Where do you want to play? Do you want to sell mainstream housing?
Okay.
Like where I play, I sell all types of houses. I help people buy all types of houses. Some people are going to say to you, "Look, I only want to sell luxury homes." Right? Because they don't want to do more than 4 deals in a year.
But those 4 deals.
But those 4 deals,
Okay.
biggest
those
deals.
We know those 4 deals. We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Whereas some other agents like myself knows that, look, my background, I've had some years in the manufacturing space, that I know sometimes volume counts, right? Mix it all together, shake it together, press it together. Cup running over.
Yeah,
So
cup running over.
so it's your choice. The strategy is yours. Make that strategy decision and follow it.
I'm glad you spoke about I'm glad you spoke about some persons who are just fixated in selling luxury houses, and some persons who, understand the numbers count, right? And I always say this, I said, in business, you either play to two parts. You either play to the game of numbers or you play to the game of margin, right? People who sell luxury cars, people who, for example, Rolls Royce, for example, in their office in Sussex, they know the amount of persons that come is very few. They sell to the game of margin. They are not interested in numbers because they know whatever they sell, they know. People in the luxury world, they understand. But other people like Sam Watson, who is a superstore owner, some other persons like that, they sell those small cents and dollars. They play, I beg your pardon, to the game of numbers, right? Which is great. For somebody who's going into real estate, I heard you can choose to debunk.
Yeah.
I heard that a lot of times they go broke because 95% of their money comes from commission. Is that true, sir? I'm prepping those that want to go into real estate.
Yeah.
Is that true, sir?
Yes, it is. Yes, yes, it's true. What I'm unable to validate now is a percentage that comes from commission.
Okay,
true. Because my understanding is typically, a sizable portion of your income as an estate agent should come from commissions, right? There are some other agents who are agents, and at the same time they are real estate investors, right? Those are the ones that you probably will be thinking that, okay, they've got multiple sources of income. They're making money from brokering deals, and at the same time they're making money from their investment decisions, right? I know one individual that we work together in the office has been practicing real estate for about, let's say, 42 years now.
Oh.
Yeah, 42 years. So if I look at him and I say, my friend, how much money have you made this year? And he says to me, okay, I've made this much. And I say, okay, please break it down. What portion of it came from deal brokering? He could say to me, oh, Alaba, it's just only 10% of my income that came from deal brokering. The remaining 90% is from my real estate investments. So it's what you said essentially is true, right? And for new people who are just coming into the practice, it's absolutely true. They go broke. Most go broke. Wow. Let me correct myself. Most go broke because looking inward from outside, or you're looking over the fence, the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah, true.
You see people that will look at you and say, oh my God, you're making a lot of money. The only thing they see is the money you're making, the homes you're listing, the ones you're selling, the ones you're leasing. All they see is income, right? But your house, just like every other business, as a real estate agent, you've got a lot of costs that you have to deal with. Starting from the fact that you need to maintain your membership, it costs thousands of dollars, right? Yeah, thousands of dollars, right? To maintain your membership, on an annual basis. That's just only the membership, right? And then remember, I'm gonna say to you, Martin, I want to sell your house. If you give me your house to sell, you don't just want me to say, okay, I want to sell that house, and I put in a post in front of the house. I've got to market, right? It costs a lot of money to get all the, the licenses to the real estate applications and everything, the marketing tools we use, the data, the market.
Where's that money coming from? Your pocket?
From your pocket.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's why it's a business. And that's why many people get it wrong, because they're only thinking about the income. They're only thinking about the revenue.
Whoa.
The cost, the cost is sizable. I can say something to you, an estate agent who is practicing its business properly, right? At the minimum, is going to spend 40-50% of the money he makes, right, on a single sales transaction. And why is that?
Wow.
Why is that? You need to maintain your membership, call it out. You need to pay for tools. You need to market. You need to, you need to, you need to get the house you want to sell. You need to get it, prepped in the way that when people see it, they want to buy it. I'm not saying you're doing the job of the owner. It's the job of the owner to make sure the house is clean, is decluttered, is everything. But what about, have you guys gone on YouTube? You've seen
advertising,
advertising. You've seen some,
photographers, flying drones. Shout out to my producer.
The videographer, the videography, the home staging, and all of those. It costs a lot of money. It doesn't come. It doesn't come cheap. So, like you said, people always look at it and say, look, there's a lot of money to be made there. They're not thinking about the input that goes into running the business. Wow. And that's why after a short period of time, it's a sort of practice that you see tons and tons of people come in, but in less than 6 months, in less than 1 year, they can no longer sustain it. They're out again, looking for something else to do.
Wow. Bami?
Yeah, so for someone coming in as a newbie, like coming into the business of real estate, what are the things you can advise in terms of building a clientele, and the advertisement?
Yeah, so I think let's talk about building the clientele. The most important thing for a newbie coming into the practice is for you to learn, right? Find the right brokerage to go to. It's absolutely important.
Okay.
Because you are new, right?
Yeah.
It's just like when any other person, the real estate business is like when any other person decides to take on a career, right? Real estate practice is a career, right? Do you want to go to a place where you're just left all alone? Oh, these are the tools. This is the license. Go and practice. Or you want to get into an environment where you're going to learn. And how do you learn? Is by interning. I will use that word. Internship, right? Going into a brokerage where deals are getting done, right?
Yeah.
And helping high-performing agents, right? Helping high-performing agents to do things, right? Get close to them. Ask them some of the, the winning formulas they're using, right? Learn those formulas, right? And it's not just only about learning the formulas alone. You need to work really hard, right? And you need to make sure you put yourself out there, right? When the opportunities come, do not flop, right? Remember, because I know, like, when I started in this practice, there's always that first deal, right? Someone is going to give you that benefit of the doubt. I want to work with this guy.
Yeah.
And do you want that first person who gave you that lifeline? Do you want them to have positive things to say about you or not? It's a no-brainer. I want them to say something positive about me so that from that moment on, word start exchanging. Oh, this is the person who got me that house. Remember that if I buy you a house today, somebody is going to come visit you in that house and say, oh my God, this is a lovely house. Who is the agent that got it for you? Of course. The name goes out, right? Those are the opportunities that you're looking for your name to be mentioned in a positive light as against a negative light. Oh, I overpaid for this house. Oh, there are certain advice I should have got. You see that crack on the first level of the house. The agent told me not to get an home inspector. That was how we missed it. Do you think anybody will say, okay, I want to work with that agent who did not advise you to get an inspector? No, so those are the important things. Let's summarize it. Work hard. Make sure you connect yourself to people who are already successful in the industry, right? And thirdly, when you have those opportunities, don't take it for granted.
I always say that for every journey, there's always an experience that stems out of it.
Yeah.
For every experience, there is a story that stems out of it. Mm-hmm. In your odyssey, in your journey to where you are right now, how are some of the ways a newbie in your field can sustain when the grass is not yet green, because you enlighten not just me but a lot of persons watching that a lot of we don't see the back end. We see that part that is very beautiful. When you cause, I'm into real estate, you're rich, but now I'm hearing things that your license doesn't even come cheap. I'm hearing there are other things that you sink into it to even get that deal. And apparently when you're getting that deal, 50% of your own commission is gone on making sure that people already see what they see. So it's a lot. There are a lot of down days. Also stemming from what you said that, the larger part of the money comes from commission. The days when these deals don't come, you have a family to feed. You have to keep pushing. How are you able to traverse the crucibles, the times of these challenges, and not get bored and not get dissuaded?
Discouraged, yeah.
I will say preparation, right? And I'll use the analogy of a football team, right? If you prepare very well, right, the moment you're stepping out onto the football pitch, you are able to think back on what are the strategies, right, that you mapped out to say, okay, let me go with those strategies. More often than not, those strategies produce results. There are moments when they're not going to produce results. That's where the external factor comes in. If you are single, I probably will say, look, maybe before you decide to go into real estate, have some cash reserve, right? That you can fall back on. Those moments when business is not going on fine. In life, there are ups and downs.
Yeah.
So if you think everything is going to be rosy, I'll say you're fooling yourself. I say you're fooling yourself.
Of course,
right?
that's
So
the
if you're single, you have some cash reserve. Fall back on the cash reserve for that moment, right? That time will pass, right? Good times will arrive.
Yeah.
Good times will come. If you're married, right, you probably will have a spouse to fall back on to say, look, when things are not looking great here, I've got a lifeline. I've got someone who is going to support me and the family through these hard times. And the other part of the question that you touched upon is, okay, if things are not looking good, you're going to feel discouraged. Yeah, everybody feels discouraged when situations are not, when the situation is not looking rosy, right? But you've got to constantly remind yourself, right? It's darkest when the sun is about to rise, right? So maybe that point, maybe that telephone call to that client, to that pipeline that you set out to make at 10 a.m. Monday morning is, the flip of the coin that you're looking for. So don't get discouraged. Make that call. Maybe that email marketing that you thought, I've been sending it out for the last 6 months. I didn't get any lead from it. Maybe that's where your break is going to come from. Keep sending it. Look, there is this saying about if you don't take a shot, you've already missed it.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
If you take it, you could score it. You
True.
could score it.
True.
So that's the principle. You need to have a well-defined strategy. Don't leave yourself hanging off a cliff, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, it is that deal that you're super laser focused on next month that is going to get you through the month. It's a recipe for disaster when that deal does not happen. You've got to have a fallback plan.
Yeah.
Right? And then secondly, don't get discouraged. Keep pushing. Right? The breakthrough is gonna come.
Yeah.
I would
Okay, yeah.
I would just to follow up, right? Is it advisable for somebody who's going into real estate? And I know why I'm saying this because a lot of persons, I've heard them say it. And I have my own assumptions. But as somebody who is vast in that field, is it advisable to go full-time into real estate or start as a part-time real estate person?
It depends. I've seen people play it both ways. And it has worked for examples of people that I've seen, right? Let me give you an example. I've seen someone come into this country, right? Someone that I actually mentored into real estate, who came into the country with a lot of money. And they came in here, they said, oh, look, I do not want to work 9 to 5. The reason I left Nigeria to come over here is because I'm tired of doing 9 to 5. I just want to do something different. They have a lot of money already in the bank. And the guy was like, okay, but I cannot be sleeping morning till night. I just want to use this career as my, as a pleasure career. Right, and then they went into real estate full time. The gentleman is doing pretty good right now, right? That person's circumstance is different from someone who is asking instead the question. Look, this money I'm using to buy the plane ticket, right? This is the only money I have. Once I touch down in Canada, I'm going to my friend's house to squat. For 30 days. It's going to be foolhardy for such a person to take the same gamble. Like the man who came in with a lot of So you've got to just assess your situation, right? And look for what is the most balanced approach for you to take. Typically, some people are going to start the practice part-time, after they have some traction, 6 months, 18 months, 24 months, some traction. They see that, okay, business is going, then they go into a full-time. So there is no one size fits all. Depends.
You just have to check your situation.
Define your strategy.
Based on the answer you gave us before, I just want to still ask you a question, because I know someone who he's already into the business of real estate. So he has done the learning, the advertisement, he has been in Menti, but things are not working out. Like, things are not working out. He's not getting the client, nothing is working out. But this person is really trying. So in that case, what do you think is happening to that person?
I don't know. Very, very straightforward answer. I don't know.
So that kind of person, you think that person should just quit the job, or what could be happening?
No. I said I don't know. Now you're asking if they should quit. I said no. My answers are categorical. Look, if you're doing something and you're not getting results, I think it puts you on an inquiry to say, look, think about it. Am I doing the right things? Sometimes many of us have been in the same situation, not just only about real estate, about life generally. You're doing something, you're doubling down on doing something, you're putting more time than anybody would imagine, right? That someone will put into a particular effort or adventure, I should say. And the results are not coming. If you're doing the wrong things, the results are not going to come, right? Ask a question. The person should introspect. What kind of environment are they in? I mentioned something much earlier. Going to the brokerage where deals get done is the first right decision you have to make. Because if you go into some brokerages whereby deals come far and few in between, and I've seen a couple of people that I've spoken to about, okay, where should they go? Saying, oh, if I have to go and join this global brand, if I join that international brand, they charge so much money, right? I don't think I can afford it. And then they decide to go to one ABC brokerage, whereby even the best agents I'm laughing. Sorry, forgive me.
It's okay.
Even the best agents in those brokerages are the ones that are scraping by one deal every 6 months.
Oh my God.
So when are you going to learn? When are you going to know what is happening in the market? Right? So it is absolutely important for us. I mean, for anyone that wants to go into into real estate as a career, to understand that it is serious business, and then it requires the most optimal decision making, right? And be futuristic in your thinking. Because what sustains you as a real estate practitioner is what you make out of the business.
Yes.
I mentioned much earlier the gentleman that came in with a lot of money who said, okay, he's just going to do it as his pleasure career, right? If it doesn't start making money over some time, right? He's going to lose money. He's going to lose money too, and then it's going to get himself broke. So no matter what your situation is, you need to think about your real estate career as a going concern. And what is a going concern? You've got to be making money. You're going to spend money, but you've got to be making money as
Definitely.
well. Yeah.
As we're about to wrap up, I just want to ask you, and I'm sure Bami too might have a question to ask. Through your journey, practicing real estate here in Ontario, what are some of the, when they want to sell a book on social media, they'll be like, oh, this webinar is absolutely free. I'm going to give you the codes. You know how they sell all these annoyers, right? What are some of the free advices now on this podcast, Afro Journal podcast, that you will give for free to Nigerians or Africans who want to go into real estate here in Ontario?
As practitioners?
Yes.
Okay. I'll say look before you leap, right? Understand, the details, or like, let's say maybe the hidden facts about a real estate career, right?
Okay.
It's a tough space to operate in. And it's just unfortunate I didn't come with my stats sheet, right? Maybe I probably would just have done a quick glance. I think in Ontario, the last time I checked, for every 5 Ontarians, right, there is 1 real estate agent.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm going to validate that and personally send it to you guys.
Wow.
Yeah. So you really want to see how saturated the market, the marketplace is in terms of people who have licenses, right, to practice. That's how saturated it is. So what you've got to be able to think about is, how do I differentiate myself, right? And then also this space is constantly evolving. So if you want to come into this career space, you've got to have a laser clear strategy to say, this is the niche, this is the market niche that I'm targeting, right? And it's going to give me results, right? This is a type of publicity strategy I want to use for myself that is rock bottom, low cost, but at the same time effective. You get all this sort of question.
I do.
So you've got to have that storm in you, right, pushing you along the right path.
Yes.
But if you are absolutely blank, I'll say don't make a decision, right? Because being blank doesn't mean you still cannot do it. It just means you need to connect with people who have insight that will put you on the right path. So that's my advice. If you want to come in, you have a lot of understanding to do before you even start. There's this wise saying that I've always known: begin with the end in mind. So if you don't know the end, don't
even start it.
Yes.
Ma'am?
Not much. I just want to ask a general question. Is there a champion among the realtors now in Ontario? Like, this person is all in all, the bestseller, this, that, in Ontario.
Yes. I mean, there are great high performing teams. I actually need to make a quick clarification that, many people see individual agents like myself practice in my name or in a branded name. You see that the people who are selling the most, who are mostly at the top of the statistics, are usually a team of agents. Right? I don't want to give free advertising. I probably would have reeled out a name, a couple of names from my brokerage.
Okay.
There are some group of teams that, while they're going to count my production, my deals, let me use that. They're gonna count all my deals in my name. there could be a group of 50 agents that they're going to count all their deals together and stack it up against mine.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I see
Yeah.
that.
So to answer your question, there are champions.
Yeah.
When you hear, okay, this is the number one blah 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 producing team in Ontario, what you need to be able to do first for you to be able to make a comparison with a one team agent or to a one person team is divide how many people are there in that team divided by the number of deals. That is what is gonna give you a fair comparison in terms of who are the high performers and who are not. But at the same time, I can't begrudge people for operating as teams. It comes back to that same thing I said about strategy. You've got to define what works for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have learned so much. My eyes have been opened to things never could see. I'm sure I was not as clairvoyant as I thought I was in real estate until Alaba came on board. And I'm like, the first thing that struck me was the fact that you need to renew a license that is not cheap. And I cannot forget it. Like, see, anytime you hear someone says, I'm a real estate professional, please give some respect. Give some respect. Any last words, Alaba?
I will say, look, let's keep the conversations. Let's keep the conversation going. I really appreciate the fact that you guys have decided to talk to me today. I mean, I'm not taking it for granted. I'm not taking it for granted. The only thing I wouldn't do is pay you money because I don't have money.
Realtors have money, of course you do.
Realtors are rich, bro.
Yes, now.
Realtors are rich, bro. They are rich, bro.
Yeah. So, seriously speaking, I really appreciate the fact that you've brought me over here to chat today. If there are more questions you want to get across to the audience, of this podcast, please feel free to call on me. At least I don't know a lot of things, but I do know real estate. And if you want us to talk about it, especially in Ontario, Canada, right? I'm a phone call.
A real estate guru.
I'm a phone call away. Just one phone call.
One phone call away.
Yes.
But many last words.
I want to thank you, Alaba. It's a huge pleasure, for educating myself. I will say I'm highly educated now that you've spoken much about, the real estate, side. And I'm sure our audience too will learn one or two from you. So yeah, we are grateful. I just want to thank you for coming on board. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I sign out, I know you enjoyed this particular episode. I know you did. But you're still not subscribed. Why? Why are you waiting for me to beg you to subscribe? Okay, please. If you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel. Like our content, share it. That is how we get pats on the back that we're doing an amazing job. Yeah. That's how we source. That's how we find.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we go and search for amazing people like Alaba. Bring them on board to share insight, stories, give you advices on how to navigate, on how to be the best version of yourself. So please subscribe to our channel and tell one person to tell the next person to subscribe, tell the next person, tell the third person to subscribe, and let the list go on like that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Call Me the Mic Master. My name is Martins Benson. It has been an amazing, stupendous time hanging out with you today. Join us. Same place you're watching next week. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, from the studio, it's bye-bye.